Good evening. I'm late. How is everybody? I'm late for H.P Lovecraft Night. Oh, let me check this style out. Let's see what's going on. No, wrong ones. Wrong ones. Blue pill. Red pill. Merry Christmas. Tonight is H.P Lovecraft Night. Anybody out there, give me a shout. Get in the live chat. We're talking H.P Lovecraft. Mostly going to be doing some pop culture stuff on him, but his life and beloved Providence. Somebody jump in. I've got my Dunkin' Donuts. It's the new world. The Great Reset. All we do is YouTube and Zoom. Netflix. Talking Lovecraft tonight. Like I say, mostly pop culture. Oh, I lost my first viewer already. H.P. Lovecraft, if you don't know, he's a controversial author. I'll get right to the point on that. He was very waspy, and by today's standards, of course, he was, at the very least, an old-fashioned wasp-only kind of guy, and there's a lot of evidence that he was nasty in that regard, race issues. That's all I'll say about that. I'm not going to condone anything with that part of him. I am talking chiefly about his work as a fantasy work, not defending aspects of his life. We're just going to talk about where he lived a little bit and things like that, and mostly stuff about pop culture. But again, I'm not defending his personal views. He's the creator of the Cthulhu Mythos. Great Cthulhu comes. He's the creator of the Necronomicon that you've seen in the Bruce Campbell movies, right? The Necronomicon. The coolest sounding grimoire. Occultist Kenneth Grant, who I've referred to a bunch of times in other talks, believed that Lovecraft was real. That the Necronomicon is real. There's people who dabble in that stuff, and they use the Necronomicon as a real magic book. A real grimoire, if you will. Anybody like my new elf hat? Got it for Christmas. Lovecraft, like Aleister Crowley, was influenced by 1001 Nights. He was also influenced by Edgar Allan Poe and Lord Dunsany. Non-human influences on humanity were a huge part of Lovecraft. He was the progeny of mentally ill parents, and his dad died presumably from syphilis, which is pretty nasty. He was indeed an aggressively old-fashioned individual. He was an outsider. He had a group of artists that worked on his groups collectively. Robert Howard, who brought us Conan, is almost as good, or just as good. I really think he's just as good. I like them both interchangeably myself. His oeuvre, his oeuvre, his milieu. He died unknown. He died virtually unknown. Just like Poe. Just like that bit Eddie Murphy had. He died penniless, insane, still trying to play record player with a peanut. Something like that. Jesus God. Nathaniel Hawthorne was also fascinated by strange stories. He wrote a creepy, cool story called Dr. Heidegger's Experiment in 1837. It is man's relation to the cosmos, to the unknown, which alone arouses in me the spark of the creative imagination. H.P. Lovecraft. It is speculated that his first work was 1897, The Noble Eavesdropper. Then The Glass Bottle. His first major work was, of course, in July of 1917. That's Dagon. Dagon the Philistine fish god. The original site of his home. Oh, I lost a viewer. Come on, everybody, get in the live chat, please. He was born at a home at 454 Ingell Street. It's not there anymore. I think it's a Starbucks. He also lived at 598 Ingell Street. This is Providence, Rhode Island. Beloved Providence. From 1904 to 1924. Lovecraft's guiding aesthetic principle was that of cosmism. 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 Or the cosmic horror. The idea that life is incomprehensible to the human minds. And that the universe is fundamentally inseminal to the interest of humankind. He had his thesis, his thinking on his art was that the universe has a profound indifference to the human beliefs in the human affairs. Lovecraft, again, was the originator of the Cthulhu Mythos and the story cycle of the Necronomicon. The Necronomicon! The Necronomicon was purportedly authored by the mad Arab Abdul al-Hazard. Lovecraft first mentioned this in 1924 in his short story, The Hound. Authors that he was familiar with in his oeuvre, or his milieu, or his clique, or his circle, August Derleth and Clark Ashton Smith, cited the Necronomicon in their works. My favorite reference to it, Army of Darkness, Evil Dead, Ash, Bruce Campbell, one of the best. But I don't think it's mentioned in my favorite adaptation of all the Lovecraft stuff is From Beyond. We'll get to that later. The Beast in the Cave is one of Lovecraft's earliest known works. Elena Petrova ʻlʌvkræft. What up, Pedro? Are you in Argentina tonight? Don't worry, I don't have the corona, but I have a cough. I don't know. I put the Duncans down the wrong pipe. Elena Petrova ʻlʌvkræft. Are you in Argentina or are you carnivore rebel? Just wondering. The Beast in the Cave. There's a guy, I guess he's on a tour. He goes into the darkness of the cave. He hears the sounds of a 4-footed creature. Starts hucking rocks at it, and he kills it, and it's like a man humanoid. Lovecraft's early works had a lot to do with guys killing guys by mistake. Because the next one, The Alchemist, a man mortally ruins the sorcerer alchemist named Charles Le Sauer or something. Well, he mortally wounds him in a chateau. So first, the other guy kills a 4-footed beast man by chucking rocks, and another guy mortally ruins the alchemist. In The Alchemist, the sorcerer gets whacked. Interesting to me. The Tomb. Our narrator, Jarvis Dudley. He becomes haunted because he's sleeping too close to the nasty Hyde family. Don't know if it's related to Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. I don't think so. He sleeps near an ancient tomb. Becomes haunted by spirits. Dagon. Is Dagon. There's a movie of it that's awesome. Look it up. Dagon. There's a guy with the Miskatonic shirt I'm going to have my Miskatonic full uniform tomorrow night as we continue our actions here. Good, we got 4 listeners. Everybody jump aboard. Let's talk Lovecraft tonight. No, World War I, a survivor of a torpedoed vessel discovers a large monolith depicting a humanoid creature that is worshipped as Dagon, a god of the Philistine people. That was 1917. Next, he wrote Polaris, presumably May of 1918, the lost polar land of Lomar. Gets attacked by Eskimos. That reminded me of the Admiral Byrd thing. When you talk to tough guys in the street, they like to talk about David Icke and Admiral Byrd and Flat Earth and that bullshit. I love that kind of shit. Completely meaningless escapism with a tinge of scariness. Beyond the Wall of Sleep. I think they've made recently a remake, creepy one of that, Beyond the Wall of Sleep. In an asylum, a backwoodsman is taking there, and a worker there attempts to help him by the use of an electrical device that joins their 2 intellects. And he examines this man, finds out he's stuck between 2 dimensions. Die, Monster, Die. 1965 is a movie based off Lovecraft's A Color Out of Space. It features Boris Karloff and Vincent Price. H.P. steak sauce. Me too. That's not chopped ham, it's chopped steak. Next we have another film. Die, Monster, Die was a major film, feature film, 1965. 1967 was The Shuttered Room. Probably influenced by the Dunwich Horror, but it's an island. These movies always crack me up because a ton of them were based on the fact that the man or woman of the protagonist inherits a mansion. And they must go there, and the place is completely haunted. My darling, let's go to the haunted, foggy, spooky, demonic island because I've inherited it. Yeah. Susan must claim the mill where she's born. Those are like the Italian horror movies with the busty woman. You can't get enough of them. Isn't one of your favorite movies Nude for Satan? I'm just saying. The Curse of the Crimson Altar. Sorry if that was sexist. 1968. The Crimson Cult, the Witch Cult. Robert Mannix travels to Grey Marsh Lodge to locate his missing brother. That's kind of like that. I inherited the lodge on the island. You go to a little boat and it's foggy. The original Dracula is like that. Actually, the guy, it's funny, like, oh, I've inherited a mansion in Romania, Transylvania. And he's like, oh, that's very strange. And the Count is a very strange guy, but he's a nice chap. And they were all happy. Oh. The wife or husband tries to talk to the other ones. It's okay. We've inherited this house. We've saved a lot of money. Look at the size of the kitchen. I think probably the most all-pervasive popular work of Lovecraft is the Cthulhu Mythos. Anybody from last night on tonight? Let's get some more cats in here. The Haunted Palace, 1963, is based off of Charles Dexter Ward. By far, I guess, my favorite Lovecraft. Mountains of Madness is damn good. Cthulhu Mythos is darn good. But I think nothing touches Charles Dexter Ward. I always had a feeling that it was real somehow. Based on that. That's starring Vincent Price. He's a sorcerer that utilizes the Necronomicon Grimoire. The Dunwich Horror itself was a movie. Reanimator, 1985, is an absolute classic with the actor who plays Clifford Tillinghast, or whatever the hell his name, Crawford Tillinghast. Friend of mine, Jason Squamata, used to do a whole show on that, From Beyond. He did kind of a hypnotic thing. From Beyond is the greatest of all the works that they've done, except maybe Mountains of Madness with... That's okay. That's okay, BB. Vincent Price and Boris Karloff are in some of the good movies based on the Lovecraft work. Anybody who was on the tour with me a couple of months ago, there's an ancient mansion in Arkham, which is otherwise known as Salem. Across the street from the Ropes Mansion, a home that sold for $1.5 million recently. Thank you, DB. Miss you. I don't know where the other person who from last night was on. I want to get everybody on. Let's talk about more. Well, I hope you don't mind this Lovecraft talk. I recommend the movie From Beyond, 1986. So, Tillinghast uses a resonator to attempt to open up the pineal gland, the third eye, and things get out of hand. And his collaborator, Dr. Pretorius, totally gets out of hand. He enters another dimension. He becomes a worm-like creature and loses his mind. It becomes malevolent and evil beyond belief. He's imbued with power. And Dr. McManuels is an incredibly beautiful actress who comes on the scene. She becomes obsessed with Tillinghast and his attempt to go from beyond. Noodle Bricks is here. Mine is totally calcified with fluoride and crap, sugar and junk. My pineal gland is useless and I'm blind. Blind as a bat. And I don't know what's going on. My pineal gland sucks too, Bricks. Although a hand tried to reach from beyond by your story last night and maybe tried to decalcify your pineal gland. Perhaps a distant relative that was feeling sorry for your pineal gland. Dr. McManus, the unbelievably attractive actress, unwisely turns on the resonator. She becomes a nymphomaniac. Probably one of my favorite movies ever is that From Beyond. Reverse osmosis water and fluoride-free toothpaste. Been doing that for years. To heck with fluoride. I know. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. You gotta put your water through numerous countermeasures. It's loaded with Prozac, the residue from condoms and junk, Xanax, Valiums, Viagra, and crap is in the water. The Curse, 1987. Dr. Forbes wants to report a meteorite to the EPA. It's supposed to be a even better adaptation of The Color Out of Space. The Unnameable, 1988. The Bride of Reanimator comes back, 1991. The Resurrected, 1981. Necronomicon, 1993. And The Lurking Fear, 1994, done by Full Moon. Shoot. Pedro has run out of data on the cell phone. I hate when that happens. I myself hate cell phones. Gonna delve into... I've been looking at Lovecraft and popular culture for some of this info. Just gonna refer to that deeper. Yeah, The Lurking Fear is Full Moon. They have some amazing, amazing movies, Full Moon. I don't know if they're out of Romania or something. They're fantastic. How does Lovecraft fit into our conversation last night about Salem? Salem is Arkham in Lovecraft's mythological world. And at the end of my ghost tour, we went over to Broad Street Cemetery, and some of the old university is actually over there. And it's ominous looking. Great building. Yeah, Arkham. A fictional city situated in Massachusetts, an integral part of the Lovecraft country setting created by Lovecraft. Arkham is featured in many of his stories. Arkham House is a publishing company by two of Lovecraft's correspondents, August Derleth and Donald Wendrell. A map of Arkham. Arkham is home of Miskatonic University, which features prominently in many of Lovecraft's works. Hey, how are you doing, Arturo? We got Arturo Luis Rodriguez and Pedro Rojas Cervantes in the house. How you guys doing? Arkham is unspecific location. I tend to think it's Salem, but Innsmouth and Dunswich, they're all in the Essex County area, I think. Which is very creepy. Yeah, bromine. Hey, you know what's an interesting side fact? It was detected in me. Bismuth is another poison in it. You know what? I don't know if you guys know. It's Pepto-Bismol. Anything that you buy from CVS or Walgreens, maybe I got to be aware of. I don't know. Are you even allowed to say that on YouTube now? Are you allowed to say anything about anything? Anybody familiar with Danvers State Hospital? Oh, huge insane asylum. Massive. Incredible architecture. I think it's been demolished. It was the home of a book, Project 17, and a horror film called Session 9, of which I actually used to know the director, Brad Anderson. I'm sorry. Yeah, directed by Brad Anderson. I did know him for a little while. Session 9. He did The Machinist, starring Trevor Resnick, which was Christian Bale. And since insomnia causes problems, I did not know he directed that one. That is one of the scariest movies. Have you guys seen that? Christian Bale he weighs like 70 pounds in it, and he looks like shit. Yeah, I know. That movie is, you know what? It was really, really good, BB, but it was a little too good. I didn't know that Brad did that. I did know him back in the day. Way back. He was actually talking about making me a character in one of his movies, but it needed his friend Len Voss had to take the job, or he was going to be a higher role. I don't remember why I didn't get in on it, but hey, it was nice to even talk about it. Allegedly, I can't prove that conversation went down. I bet you Brad doesn't remember it. I like his glasses. The film became well known because of Christian Bale's dramatic weight loss of 62 pounds for the lead role. So we've got recommending some good movies here tonight. The Machinist, 2004, starring Christian Bale. We're also recommended not to fuck around with fluoride and to open up your pineal gland, your third eye, by correct means. He directed a movie called The Call with Halle Berry. Wow. And another one of Ben Kingsley. So he's gone clickbait. He's done clickbait for Netflix. So he's done a lot more than I knew. I just, wow. Lovecraft was a Rosicrucian. I did not know that he was part of any secret societies. I would say that he certainly seemed to know his stuff about occult. I was mentioning earlier the occultist author Kenneth Grant, an associate of Crowley, believed that Lovecraft was on the level of an Aleister Crowley, that his stuff was real, that he knew what he was talking about, and he was some type of either a natural initiate or, like as you say in Pedro, an actual Rosicrucian, which is, of course, to my mind, probably the most sophisticated occult order. I mean, that was Dr. John Dee was in that. Some people think that he came up with Freemasonry. That he certainly, along with Sir Francis Walsingham, is the father of the mighty MI6 intelligence service. Queen Elizabeth was the most badass leader of England there ever was. They kicked ass. I can't believe they demolished that place. Why? Just put people back in there and help them. I should have bought the Danvers State Hospital. Arkham is situated close to Gordon College. It's a Christian college over there in the Ipswich area. Arkham appears in Herbert West Reanimator, The Unnameable, The Silver Key, The Color Out of Space, The Dunwich Horror, The Whisper in the Darkness. Ooh, At the Mountains of Madness, one of the ships is named Arkham. The Shadow over Innsmouth, The Dreams of the Witch House, Through the Gates of the Silver Key, The Thing on the Doorstep, and The Shadow Out of Time. Sorry, I'm going off topic. Arkham. It's a board game as well. Yeah, Salem is definitely part of the Lovecraft mythos. I've got a whole section of videos that I've done of Lovecraft sites. I've been to the Fer de Lys house, which is the really weird looking house. So if you guys haven't been there, you go to Providence. Basically probably the best part of town is the Brown University near Angel Street where he lived. It's kind of on a hill. There's a big white church there. And if you're facing the front, on the left side, there's the art club, and there's the Fer de Lys house, which is just a bizarre house. It's where part of the Cthulhu Mythos story takes place. There's also an observatory over there, which Lovecraft liked to visit. If you can bear with me a moment, I'm just calling up that story. The Cthulhu Mythos is a shared fictional universe originating of the horror writer Lovecraft. Probably the most popular of his. I've definitely, maybe you guys seen so many t-shirts sort of spoofing it, like Great Cthulhu Sleeps. Probably it was an amazing experience to purchase the magazine Weird Tales and read it in installments. The cover art is gorgeous. That's the way to do it. The Call of Cthulhu. Yeah, first appeared in the Pulp magazine of Weird Tales. So he died penniless, just like Poe. Definitely Stephen King, who's a giant in the field of horror. Really highly influenced by H.P. Lovecraft. No doubt. He drew a sketch of Cthulhu on May 11th, 1934. So he's kind of like a giant creature with an octopus head. That's his seminal story, The Call of Cthulhu. He didn't write Cthulhu till actually 1928. He wrote Dagon, about the Philistine fish god, 1919. Definitely that story that I heard secondhand in Salem of the doctor that paid homeless guys to experiment on X-ray experiments was definitely freaking out of Lovecraft. The interesting thing about Kenneth Grant and his work, he said Crowley during his experiments and things like that came in contact with different entities, and he came in one called Tooth, just like Cthulhu, only with a T. Very interesting. Lovecraft's imagery and cosmology. I can't even pronounce that fucking word. An aesthetic contract remained ever adapted to the creative. Okay, I'll shut up on that. Lovecraft was influenced also by a man named Lord Dunsey, the Baron of Dunsey, Edward Pickett. Not as well known, but in order to make his books work, Grant, whose books cost a fortune, used a lot of the imagery of Lord Dunsany, Dunsany, and Sax Roma, the author of the insidious Fu Manchu. Probably very politically incorrect at this time. I personally thought that they were influenced that when they created Cato, the sidekick. Yes, the Lovecraft Code. Yes. It is Lovecraft. Peter Levenda. Yeah, I know a friend of his. A guy I know him as an acquaintance. Peter made a character in one of his books. People, I believe that Peter says he's Simon, the author of one of the more popular versions of the Necronomicon Grimoire. Great. Thank you, Arturo. Great comment. But I check out what he says. That Peter Levender book, it without getting a hold of that book by Grant, which escapes me. Somebody let me borrow a copy to photograph for this that I did to hell about the nightshade, the dark side, the flip side of Kabbalah. Lavenda covers it in that book and covers the Typhonian trilogy, and Grant's. Well, he had a kind of he was obsessed, I guess, with Lovecraft. He was obsessed with Austin Spear. Crowley, of course, was his main focus. He was a protege, just like Israel Godley. I think the greatest biographical story work is by Grant on Crowley. Hard to tell if he was a bullshitter or he was a master. Yeah. Pedro, check out Peter Levenda. Thanks for that, Arturo. I'm actually going to be talking about that more tomorrow night. I guess I've read all the books, so I could be entitled to attempt to become a Typhonian. Okay, so Lord Dunsey, Sax Roma. He uses that. He uses that to color the excitement behind one of his books about the Spider Queen, about Akbish. The ninth pillar or something. Jeez, my brain isn't working tonight. Anyway, Lavenda breaks that down for you. There's not really a need to get those Grant books within regard to Lovecraft. The Peter Lavenda's Lovecraft Code is fiction and good fiction. I'm thinking of another book where he breaks down Lovecraft in the work of Grant. Which is very interesting. Let me call up. Austin Osman Spire, or S-P-A-R-E. Forgive me, I kind of mispronounced. The controversial occultist and artist. Grant, they were the Lemites. The Lema, the will, the movement, willpower. Grant said that Austin was equal to or on the level of a Crowley in his occult stuff. Not as famous or influenced. The Psychic Youth group, Chaos Magic group. My understanding is that they are an influence on those incredible bands. Let me see if it'll say it. They were the Temple of Psychic Youth, Chaos Magic practitioners. They were kind of major influences. This was the Process Church of Final Judgment. That's the one with the handsome guy that looked like Jesus with the beard, but he was really run by this dominatrix chick or something. William Burroughs, who came up with the word heavy metal and Blade Runner. Naked Lunch was his stuff, talking about being a junkie. Byron Gilson was the guy that had that light thing that you look through, and they were influenced on Grant Morrison. Grant Morrison, the Scottish comic book man. Huge in the comics. Editor of Heavy Metal. There you go. He's done thousands of comics. I'm going to say, I think, yeah, Arkham or something. Of course, he was influenced by. Probably, to me, the most influential one or the most stunning thing that he ever did was the Invisibles. The Invisible College. That's and King Mob, who was actually from Krakow, Poland. I'm really drifting off, but that comic book is fucked. King Mob. I'm trying to remember the bands. There were some intense bands that were involved with the Psychic Church. I'm going way off into occultism, but Genesis P. Orridge, Orridge. His band was the Throbbing Gristle. Oh, he died in 2020. Shit. March. Probably a strange guy. I think they're in the milieu of the the OTO, Process Church of Final Judgment. Strange stuff. What the heck is the... I'm going back here. Oh, sorry, guys. Is this boring? Somebody give me a shout if this sucks. I'm going way off. Austin Osman Spire. Let me put in what I'm talking about here, okay? Google. Osman. Weird. His pictures are surrealistic, just kind of like Salvador Dali, total occultism stuff. Automatic writing, automatic drawing, sigilization. His theories in the relationship between the conscious and unconscious self, which a lot of people say that's what magic is. It's just Jungian. It's your own brain manifesting, you know. The temple, the temple of the Psychic youth. Let me put that in here. Okay. The temple of, I don't know why they spell O-V. Psychic youth. They have a thing where every month on the 23rd they dream what they want, and they, how can I say it gently, they massage themselves into climactic activity. And they do that as a group. TOPY. This is what I'm getting for. I just want to know what. I'm forgetting what bands they. I can't believe I can't remember. I just. And the band. Okay. New Order. Well. Jeez. I don't remember that. Antarctica. Well, in terms of the rumor and myth and the whole thing surrounding Antarctica, what you most would commonly associate with that would be the Thule, like the Nazis went up there. That's what I've heard. You know, that's that they went up there and they hid out Antarctica, and then the Admiral Byrd stories connecting to that, and for what we're talking about, H.P. Lovecraft, the Mountains of Madness was, I believe, they go up to Antarctica. So it would be the Nordic magic, to the best of my knowledge, NB. The Thule. They actually, and this is legit, went to places like Tibet to try to investigate. So there's pictures of the Germans going up there. Yeah, the Thule. Yep, they're associated with that ice stuff. That, as far as I know. And you know, I can't even remember the name of the occultist that was very much an influence on Adolf Hitler. There was an occultist that was behind him in his beer house days. Blend of artistic collective. See, I don't know why they're not saying that. The woman with the, are you talking about like the women that are part of the Thule? Right, the Vero Society. Yeah. Remember they were running a commercial on YouTube a lot, and they were talking about that, and they show a woman. Yeah. The Vero Society. Yes. I didn't remember that. Thanks for that. I forgot. That's a very kind of willful thing. Of all people, David Bowie was interested in that Aryan kind of black magic stuff, or magic. Very much so. I think he put ruins on his thing. He had, used that as an aesthetic effect. I don't know how far he got into it, spiritually or, whatever. Given that fact that his beloved wife was a black person, I don't think he really got into it too much. I'm not accusing David Bowie of being a Nazi. I'm just saying that I believe he got interested in that. He's in an interview that you can see on YouTube that he regretted, quote unquote, regretted a bit too much involvement with Kabbalah. I don't know what's that. He doesn't explain any farther than that. He says it for a second. I'm not saying anything bad or good about it. He just said it in an interview, and I didn't know that. Genesis Orridge 80s anti-cult. There was a racist component to the children of Manson, no doubt. He thought the Helter Skelter was coming. Throbbing Gristle. I made a sigil of Dr. John Dee and the actual author who's did some editing for this group, liked it. And I was like, wow, it's the guy. And he's smart. Ugh. He, quote unquote, said, most of the people in the world, when you think about it, from the Abrahamic religions, all worship angels or associate themselves with angels. So he made that comment. I thought that was a good start to his book. He wrote a book about Dr. John Dee. I can't find it. The band. What the band? Okay, I'm gonna look this up. Okay, New Order. Okay, the New Order. 1980s band. Okay, they formed after the demise of Joy Division. So I could have sworn they were caught up in that milieu of the Psychic Society. Very, very mystical. Oh, I don't know who that is, Pedro. Thomas Sheridan. ThomasSheridan. I'm not familiar with them. Freestyle electrical. The song is Dreams Never End. I'm way off of Lovecraft, but we're all in the mix. That is the New Order band. I read the extraordinary. I wish the days would never end. The occultist Maria Abramovich works on that video. There's like this woman that's doing sign language and these guys jumping up and down. Very famous video. That woman, who people have become very obsessed with because the movie stars like her, and she has these dinners where people mimic eating people, and they... Yeah, Maria Barnes, the performance artist chick. Yeah, she's just weird. She had that thing where people would go to the MoMA, the spirit cooking. Yes, that's weird. Or she had that thing when she'd go to the Museum of Art, not the MoMA, and then people like line up, and then she would she would exchange chi with them. The spirit cooking, I think it had bodily fluids in it and crap, and she made like a little homunculus doll, and she puts it in the corner. She has that portrait where she's breastfeeding a grown man, and oh yeah, I did one of her. You can look on me. I did a weird one of her. I read that extraordinary. It's the suicide of Joy Division's singer Ian Curtis in May of 1980. That was very strange. Her art is disturbing. Ooh. Maria Abramovich, you guys. I lost one viewer, but we got 5 of you out there. Everybody give me a shout in your chat. I'm getting better at this YouTube stuff. I guess you got to come on every night until you go mental. Hope I'm not fucking up anybody's dinner tonight. Yeah. New Order. The movement was that order. November 13th, 1981. Factory Records. Sound, artwork. Album's cover by Peter Seville. It is a good album cover. I don't know why it doesn't make reference to Maria in here. Okay. I don't know. He was a great front man. I'm very sad that he went so soon. Oof. Ian Curtis. Bad. How does this connect to Lovecraft? Because there's a kooky occult group, the Psychic Physic group. I've read their whole thing. They're like Bible. She's likely a hermaphrodite. The hermaphrodite person is very high up in the magic. Very, very high up. Very, very high up. The Baphomet. The Hermetic messages on there. Some say we're all being achemically kind of becoming that way. Hey, if you eat too many of those, you know, burgers. Yeah, the monad. Did you see how I made one? Hope I'm not unleashing stuff. I did one. If you look through my stuff, I did the MOMAD. That to me is the one that imprints to your brain the fastest. I really wish I didn't really look at it, but the monad. Turo, there is in Connecticut at Yale University. Dr. John Dee's book is there. Wish I'd seen it. I've been to the Skull and Bones tomb. I haven't been inside, of course. I'm not an initiate, but Yale is very, very English style. It doesn't even feel like it should fit in Connecticut at all. It's just its own thing. They do quite the buildings that they show in that spy movie with Matt Damon and Angelina Jolie, which escapes me, is definitely that architecture. Wow, I'm really going off board. Maria Abramovich, yeah, it's hard to say what her thing is. Don't know. I gotta say, for what I know, she knows her stuff. She knows magic, no doubt about it, no question. She's a high initiate, I would say. Although everything she shows, I'm familiar with. Tell you the truth, I think that Madonna knows a certain amount about it, but she's not in the league of Maria, to my mind, in the occult. She exchanges chi with Jay-Z at the MoMA. And that other actor in that crazy movie, Spring Break. That guy's creepy. What do we got? Any questions in here? Yeah, the spirit cooking. Good one, DB. New Order and Joy Division, their movie, their stuff is, extremely dreamlike. Very, 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 very different. Really good. Yes. 007 was his number. No doubt, Pedro, my friend. You're right on top of it. If you saw the British Olympics, Daniel Craig, James Bond being, of course, a tribute to Dr. John Dee. Yeah. Was representing as he escorted the Queen into the Olympic Games, which was extremely mystical that year and creepy. Not just the Spice Girls. I think Marina is part of the elite, the Illuminati. Yeah, well, quite possibly. High initiate. No doubt. No doubt. No doubt. No doubt. I don't think it was a good idea for people to storm the Comet Pizza place. So. Pizzagate. I don't know about that. Could have been a trap to make patriot people look like shit. I don't know. Throbbing gristle. The Psychic Bible. Pedro's message was retracted. Give us another version of what you're going to say. Lovecraft and the occult. H.P. Lovecraft and the Black Magical Tradition. Apex Magazine. Wow, I didn't even know that one. Maria San Giovanni. Ah, Yog Soloth. Detective Legrassi in the Call of Cthulhu. He goes to the further days. Okay. Well, this is going too far off. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry. Yeah, the Dark Lord of H.P. Lovecraft, which was what Arturo was talking about earlier. Arturo, have you seen? You can actually Google the hieroglyphic monad and that other weird book that he wrote. Very strange. It's under lock and key at Yale University, and imagine with the COVID-19 coronavirus, you can't see anything. I don't know. The Typhonian Tantra. I was just rereading this book called The Command to Look, and the guy's best portrait is of a tantric sorcerer. It's incredible. There's like this statue behind him with a bunch of arms, and he's just got this look. I thought he actually was the insidious Dr. Fu Manchu, but he's not. He's just another, and he's looking with his eyes, and he has a little makeup. And this is astounding because he had some, incredible pictures of beautiful women, but this is a strange case where the picture of the sorcerer just goes beyond even that, which is extraordinary. Secrets of the Typhonian Tantra. Oh yeah, India and the Occult. I have read that book. I'm going out on a limb. I did read that book a while back, India and the Occult, and apparently they have their own version of a Kabbalah, which is strange to me. The Tree of Life. The Ninth Arch is the most powerful one I ever read. Okay, Night Side of Eden is the one that Peter Levander goes through in that book. That there's the Tree of Life, and then it's a grimoire of the reverse of it. It's weird. And there's a lot of books that reference it. Somebody was recently telling me there's a book, or there's a book. There's a movie on Amazon Prime right now that has to do with meditating and then contacting UFOs. And I guess everybody thinks of Crowley as a drug maniac, a mountain climber, a chess player, a tantric sex man, and then he has the law, and he has all these things he wrote, and going to the desert and contacting Corazon, Corazon the demon, and then at the right at the Boleskine house. But I know we're gonna do another UFO one maybe tomorrow night, unless I wear you guys out. But believe it or not, one of the biggest things that Crowley talked about was making contact with, the others, the beings, the extraterrestrial entities. Believe it or not, you wouldn't readily connect Crowley with UFOs. But this was a big thing. For what it's worth, because he was quite a bullshitter, no doubt. I think he just traveled the world trying to get laid. He said the main focus that humanity needed to do was to reach out to extraterrestrials. And that's the focus of the book Beyond the Mavway Zone. Number 8 in the Typhonian trilogies. That was his group. Many people mostly like Israel Regaldi's book on Kabbalah. I'm weird enough to say I prefer the style of Grant. All his books are a pain in the ass to get a hold of. But that's the focus of Beyond the Mavway Zone, that there are different methods of doing this. The ninth arch is scary because he actually gives a warning to the non-initiate to not read this, because there's the grimoire of the Spider Queen. And I talked about that. Very intense. So there's the ninth arch in the temple of King Solomon. King Solomon, of course, is the greatest, probably the greatest sorcerer, some people say, in his temple. And under the ninth arch is a secret chamber, which contains the staff of Aaron, or the rod of Aaron, the Ark of the Covenant, buried there by 3 Masonic wise men, the ninth arch. If you read that grimoire, it's kind of like a poem style, and it activates vibrations easily. Very intense. The night side of Eden is probably, I'm going to go out on a limb here, probably the most sought after book of Grant. Which is just a straight out, which is covered very well in Peter Levende's book. But like I say, we're talking about H.P. Lovecraft tonight, and Grant was impressed by Lovecraft. And he said it went way beyond him being an author. And he said even if Lovecraft said, quote unquote, I'm not an occultist, that, that I think he said something that whether or not he believed it or not, he was in contact with these vibrations and receiving transmissions. There is a part of me that says that these guys are right. How much of this is my comic book thinking, my pop culture bullshit thinking, my fantasy? That almost makes sense to me. Things are so fucked up now that we need to make contact with the alien people because we're fucking up everything. What do you guys think about that? Yeah. I got my machine elf look going on tonight. So that's very. I'm going to be rapping about that soon. What he said. The influence of H.P. Lovecraft and occultism. There's a popular guy from Utah, and one of his associates. That's his thing. Humanity needs an intervention. F yeah. Also, the artist Salvador Dali was somebody very, 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 very familiar with esoteric stuff. His surrealist paintings. you know, mean that he knew something. The paintings of Austin Osman Spire, sorry if I'm mispronouncing his name, forgive me. If you're really an occultist, please forgive me. Are just as weird as Salvador Dali's, and they're kind of dirty. Drew a lot of dirty stuff. So, the Solomon Temple, the Goetia, the Goetic magic is the most probably popular. I've been told by people who dabble in this stuff, I don't do this stuff. I'm too sloppy. I don't know how to make a magic circle. I get fucked up. But they've claimed, some of them said they've had some kind of negative experiences that. Where was I going? I was talking about the Utah kid. Anybody familiar with I forget his name now. He's interesting as hell. He's got a giant organization. God. Anyway, an associate of him, that's what he does. He does the Lovecraft. There's another guy, he's selling tapes to you become involved with necromancy, and he says he speaks to the undead, and he's all fucked up, and do you want to try this? I don't know. I don't know who would want to do that. God, he's interesting. I can't remember his name. Oh, A.E. Coetting. Let me get his name up here. A.E. An associate with his exclusively does magic by utilizing the mythos of H.P. Lovecraft. I don't really know why you would want to call Great Cthulhu. I would think he would eat you. Or Yog Soloth. But he said it helped him work on his life. Maybe the Cthulhu comes and tells you, get your shit together and get a job. Great Cthulhu, come to me. And the nonce is like, get a fucking job. Get in a relationship. It's weird. Humanity needs an intervention. John Dee's book, The Hieroglyphic Monad, is really obscure. He's explaining the symbol to astronomy, Kabbalah, alchemy, and bridging the gap between using sacred geometry. Oh, Arturo Luis Rodriguez, sir, have you seen that sacred geometry, like 2-hour documentary? It's messed up with the utilizing things like the Fibonacci. Everything is the Fibonacci in the world. Oh, everything isn't just a shit show design. There's geometry within nature, and then just those stained glass windows they use, and the design of stuff. The egg, it might be. I did a whole YouTube on the egg of a lamb, which was a construct that Crowley did when he came out of the body or something. He would travel through the egg of lamb. But the Fibonacci is numbers, and it was an Italian genius, that guy that came up with that. But the egg has many occult references to it. There's supposed to be a young girl in China who's incredibly psychic. She's under the protection of the Chinese Communist military or something. And she has a high record, and she has some type of egg that she utilizes. Yeah. Humanity needs an intervention. Shades in Mauve, Typhonian by Gauntlet. Rare occult Lovecraft. A leather-bound Necronomicon, only $159. How can you go wrong? S-Ben Q-A-Y-I-N. That's the name of the gentleman. Yeah, Crowley's The Egg of Lamb. Lamb was the kind of creature. The girls in the Middle East that could cry crystals or had solitude. I never heard that. That's awesome. Do tell. No, I'm not aware of that. I like that. I will tell you one thing. All these guys who are into this magic stuff were completely captivated by wait, let me get the name. By the book 1001 Nights. They all were. Crowley, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, Sax Roma, Fu Manchu, Lord Dunsay. All were influenced highly. Crowley was highly inspired by 1001 Nights, collection of Middle East folk tales. So you're talking about the Middle East. That reminds me of that. Interesting. The Aladdin's lamp. That goes into the either real or imagined occult thing of the jinn. The jinn. The genie. The jinn. The jinn. You work with the jinn. The 1001 Nights. I thought it was they were influenced all by the British adventurer guy. Damn. The upside down egg in Dee's monad. Yeah. Oh, all of Dee's stuff is hard to. It's very, very, very hard to understand into that. His language that he spoke to the angels with is called Enochian. And there's big dictionary books of it. And I mean, whether or not you think all this stuff is bullshit, when you take a look at the work of Dee and the drawings and everything and his astrological stuff. I mean, he was the Queen's astrologer. I just had 6 visitors and I lost somebody. Damn. I got to get better at this. Where was I going? You just look at it and you go, it's for real. Definitely hard to follow, though. What's the name of the Lord? The guy, 1001 Nights is loaded with creepy stuff. Oh, yes, okay. These stories inspired modern pioneers of horror fiction, Edgar Allan Poe and H.P. Lovecraft. They, of course, were deeply inspired by 1001 Nights. King Shararar, after discovering that his wife had been unfaithful to him, resolves to marry resolves to marry a new woman every day. At the end of the night, he kills her. Oh, shit. The Jinn. Haunted houses, Jinn, Alibaba. The Jinn is incredible. The genie. The Marxist Bertolt Brecht was influenced by it. Oh, Jesus. Okay, Sir Richard F. Burton was a major influence on people like Crowley. Sir Richard F. Burton. Let's take a brief look at him. I don't know if he was an influence on... yeah, certainly he was an influence on Lovecraft. Okay, Richard F. Burton was a huge adventurer. I might have... I don't know if he must have influenced Doyle, because he was in the Crimean War. Well, Watson was in Afghanistan, but Sir Richard Francis Burton, linguist, poet, fencer, geographer, translator, writer, soldier, orientalist, cartographer, spy, linguist, Freemason, diplomat. Yeah, he's a very, very Sherlock Holmes-y kind of guy. Oh, he was in the army too, of course. He went to Mecca. I don't know if his travels took him to China. Hey, jump in here, Elizabeth. Elizabeth. Noodle Bricks and BB are in here. They were on the tour too. And we've got Arturo and we've got Pedro. I think Pedro's in Argentina. Arturo, do you mind saying what country you're in? I understand if you don't want to. Elizabeth, we're talking about Richard Francis Burton, the English adventurer who influenced Aleister Crowley the occultist, Edgar Allan Poe, and H.P. Lovecraft. Tonight's main focus, the genesis was the author H.P. Lovecraft, who was a heavy influence on Stephen King. We're at 122 minutes. We're going to keep going for a while. Hope everybody's having a good time. Hope I'm having you help you fall asleep. Sir Richard Francis Burton, I'm typing him in here. Oh, really? I know. I'm sorry about this in the beginning. I started semi on time. Sorry about that. I guess if you can stomach it, you could watch it again tomorrow. I don't know. Or late tonight to help you sleep. Burton was a captain of the East India Company, which the world used to be kind of run off of the East India Company. That was everything. Excuse me. Tomb at Mortlake. Hey, Arturo. He was buried at Mortlake. Mortlake was where John Dee had his mansion. John Dee had a mansion at Mortlake. And Crowley had a mansion at Loch Ness. He published 40 books. Yeah, he was an influence of the notorious occultist Aleister Crowley. Yes, The Confessions of Aleister Crowley, that was by Grant as well. By far the best book on him, by the way. Master Thuron is another name for Crowley. He was a Thalimite. That is willpower in Greek. people debate the meaning of his famous dictum that he lived by. Do what thou wilt. That is the law. Sometimes sounds like do what thou wilt. That is the Thelema way. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will. Every man and woman is a star. There is another saying, Isaba. Wait, let me get that. We are all made of stardust. Elizabeth, have you ever read that book, The Cirrus Mystery? It goes into that. There's also that song by Crosby, Stills, and Nash. We are stardust. Very weird. Or cool. Do what thou wilt. Okay, the Assassin's Creed taught the maxim that commanded the assassins not to be free but to be wise. He had the saying, nothing is true, everything is permitted. Yes, we are made of stardust. Within the realm of the philosopher, as opposed to Assassin's Creed. It's funny, you look up on any of this stuff, you inevitably come upon a video game now. Nothing is true, everything is permitted. The world around us is not absolute reality. We as human beings are actually under-equipped to fully perceive our environment. Everything is permitted. I don't know. I always thought it was the assassins saying so they could be more badass. Nothing is true, everything is permitted. I work at a video game store for my third. What is up with the video games now? Aren't they kind of like violent and kind of sexy? I don't know. Hey, we've got 6 people on tonight. Everybody jump in. We're talking about H.P. Lovecraft, Dr. John Dee, Elizabethan magics, black magic, alchemical, hermeticism, all under the rubric, all under the umbrella of H.P. Lovecraft. Sorry, I'm going bad here. This is the new way we talk right now because we can't see each other face to face because we'll all kill each other with the COVID, right? Burroughs talked about it. If you rent the movie Naked Lunch from the 90s, is it the 90s, I guess? It starts out with that quote, nothing is true, everything is permitted. And the Peter Weller, where the guy is doing it with the director, who I think it's John Carpenter. I don't know. William Burroughs often quoted that. He's extremely strange. And I think that's all part of this chaos magic, which is, you might notice that this chaos magic is very popular in the urban areas. Really popular. William Burroughs and the Cult of Rock and Roll. Oh, he was a friend of David Bowie. I didn't know that. Oh, he's in a picture with him. Okay. I think he might have known Man Ray, too. Don't know if he knew Robert Mapplethorpe. Enzo Auditore de Firenze. That almost sounds like Arturo's name. To say that nothing is true is to realize that the foundations of society are fragile and that we must be the shepherds of our own civilization. To say that everything is permitted is to understand that we are architects of our own actions and that we must live with our actions rather than whether glorious or tragic. I don't know what that means. You're responsible for your own shit, I guess. Okay, good. They attribute this quote to William Burroughs, but it definitely looks like it goes farther back to the hash sessions. They attribute to him. I don't think it's him. I always thought it was. I really thought there was an old man of the mountain, and he trained a group of assassins. I don't know. There's a book by the late Jim Mars. Basically, just own it. Whatever you do, good or bad, just own it. You got to get a picture of you for me in your, contacts with the eyes, if you wanna. A guy last night sent, Jim Mars, Rule by Secrecy is cool. Have you read that book, Noodle Bricks? Rule by Secrecy. Very interesting. I remember one night he was on Coast to Coast, and he was talking about a hospital where that was haunted by aliens that were dead. I thought that was an interesting twist. In other words, the aliens of the hospital, but they were deceased. They were ghosts of aliens. I need green contacts because my hair is green now. That's fucking awesome. The ones I had that night tore. Unfortunately, I have to order more. Okay. I dig it. Oh, let's look that one up. Jim Mars, Rule by Secrecy. A classic. In this unconvincing part, but of course he says unconvincing. Crossfire is a massive book on the JFK hit. Oh yeah, maybe probably was a guest star though. Okay, yeah. Secret societies. He gets into Zachariah Stetson, who spoke Sumerian or understood Sumerian. The Sumerians knew where we were situated in relation to the sun. There's that other guy, Immanuel Volokhowski, who cites proof of different biblical things and things like that, or Epic of Gilgamesh, maybe even, and all those major works that where the stars and planets were situated. He's into that. That's very interesting too. Zachariah Stetson is fascinating. Definitely Jim Mars references everything in that book. I should. You need to create a list of books and podcasts you enjoyed so I can read them. Okay. Let's see what I can do about that. I've really read a lot. I'll tell you one that will take up the rest of winter for you that I would recommend. And that would be, in other words, one that you could read for the rest of the winter, would be the book Tragedy and Hope, A History of the World in Our Time That is Tragedy and Hope, A History of the World in Our Time by Professor Carol Quigley. It is written by the Archives of the Council of Foreign Relations, which is definitely Cecil Rhodes. It was a huge influence on President Bill Clinton. One of the things that you'll be shocked of is the incredible death and loss of life in the First World War and, of course, the Second World War. It's fascinating. I read it a long time ago. Okay, it's very Eurocentric, but whatever. Roundtable groups, Council of Foreign Relations, that's big shots. Yeah, they've got it on Kindle. It is amazing. So I recommend that as a number one. His lectures are incredible. Yeah, Rule by Secrecy. That was a huge influence. The thing is, read as a direct source because, oh, cool. I would love to hear what you think of that. Read as a direct source because these other books, these other so-called conspiracy books, I admit, are fucked up. And, you know, everybody always thinks I'm a conspiracy theorist because I read everything, but I don't necessarily. I certainly do not go along with everything they write, and it's mixed with a lot of sensationalism and a lot of bullshit. But the Tragedy and Hope is, you know, it's a college textbook or whatever. I didn't know he went to Harvard. Okay, taught at Georgetown. Huge. Bill Clinton was a Rhodes Scholar, and he was some type of genius. Very interesting. Weapons in Democracy. Yeah, influence on. In his freshman year, 1965, the School of Foreign Service, Georgetown, U.S. President Bill Clinton took Quigley's course, receiving a B. By the way, yeah. By the way, although this is interesting. Okay. President Clinton drove Hale Boggs when he became missing. He drove him to the airport, I believe. Cokie Roberts' father. I didn't know. Oh my God, that's weird. A young Bill Clinton is alleged to have driven Boggs to the airport that day, and he was lost in Alaska. Hale Boggs was part of the infamous Warren Commission. His Cessna disappeared. He was presumed with Nick baggage. I didn't know that. Drove to the airport by a young Bill Clinton. Yeah. Most of the publishing houses are of Jesuit Masonic connections. Could be. Boggs' airplane went down. A young Bill Clinton is alleged to have driven Boggs to the airport on that day that Boggs disappeared. Wow. In the 1970 novel, Robert Ludlum The Matrice Circle portrayed Boggs as having been killed to stop the investigation of the Kennedy assassination. Well, maybe that's true. Boggs also claimed he had startling revelations on Watergate. We're getting up on 140 minutes. I think I'm going to start to wind down. Hope this was enjoyable. I will send a message to all you guys. We're going to be on tomorrow night. We're up to 6 viewers. That's nearing legitimacy. I've got my machine elf magic thing on now. So, yeah, maybe I'll be on every night for a while. Yeah, BV will let you know. This was great fun. I'm running out of steam at 148 minutes. Might even do Lovecraft Part 2. I don't know. But I love Lovecraft. I love Lovecraft. I wish all you guys a good night. Arturo, Pedro, Elizabeth, Banana Bug, her husband, Nick's Bricks, Rhymes with Sticks. Jim Mars, Ruled by Secrecy. Weird book. Very exciting. Who knows if it's all bullshit? Doesn't matter. It's interesting. You have a great night, too. I'm signing off. God bless everybody. And chill out. Probably going to be on tomorrow at 7. I really do think I am. And we'll get together again. I'm going to have my magic hat. It's probably going to be From Beyond is only $3 on Prime. You'd be safe too, Elizabeth. See you guys tomorrow night. From Beyond, 19 whatever. Fascinating Lovecraft movie. More coming at you tomorrow night at 7. I will let you know for sure. I really believe I'm going to be on. As a matter of fact, I will commit to that right now. 7 Eastern Standard Time. See you guys tomorrow. Have a great night. Love you guys. Thanks, everybody, for coming on.